Hi everyone, it's one of your favorite Brian Life Point dietitians, Lauren Christensen, joining you again today to discuss a little bit more about meal planning. As we all practice social distancing, we're likely trying to minimize those trips to the grocery store as much as possible. But when it is absolutely necessary to go, I would implore you to think of a couple of the following considerations. So first and foremost, it should not be an entertainment event for you all. Only one person from your family should be going. Try to keep it consistent for subsequent trips so that only the same person goes back each time. And really, just try to focus on what you will use and don't waste food that other people could use. So we're all in this together. We need to help each other out, not panic purchase, but rather focus on, what do we need for the next 1 to 2 weeks? And that's ultimately what I hope to help you with or consider or think about throughout today's video. So a bit of good news is that we're seeing a lot of items return to the shelves. Initially, grocers and suppliers were just kind of hit all at once, so it was hard to keep everything in stock, but we're seeing things be replenished and more available now. So again, no need to panic buy, really just focusing on 1 to 2 weeks at a time would be best. While you're at the grocery store, make sure that you're maintaining that 6 foot kind of distance between yourself and other people. If you can do more than that, that would be awesome, but at least 6 feet, people. Make sure that you're being courteous and grateful to everybody, but also those grocery clerks that are working so hard to keep the place clean and shelf stocked right now. So if your bananas are a little greener than you would normally like them, just be grateful that they have a little bit of a longer shelf life for you. And then finally, like I said a couple times, it should really be your goal to be as efficient as possible and just get what you need for that 1 to 2 week time frame. Get in, get it, get home, and be done. So to do this, really meal planning is something that becomes an absolute must. So hopefully the tips that I'll share today will help you out with that. Make sure that you refer back to my food safety video, which was the first video that was shared with you all for what to do once you get those groceries back home. And then this will also help you to map out your route within the grocery store. So if you don't need anything down a particular aisle, you can skip it because you know exactly what's on your list and where you would find that on a normal basis. Also keep in mind, if an aisle is really, really busy, try to skip it and come back, circle back around at a later point where there's a little less people there at that point. Generally speaking, so prior to all of this, I typically planned for a week at a time and would grocery shop according to that. Now I've kind of extended that out to more like 1 to 2 weeks at a time, just so we can minimize any of those grocery shopping trips and stay put where we're supposed to be. But really, meal planning is essential in helping to avoid that dreaded question of what's for dinner, what's for lunch or breakfast, what have you. And it may be that the answer is a little bit more scarier because it's generally met with, I don't know, what do you want? So if meal planning can help you to avoid that, that's just a bonus at this point, but it's also meant to help you be a little bit more efficient within your grocery shopping process. So 1 to 2 weeks worth of menus mapped out. And I'll share a couple of resources here. They're also attached to the email that will hopefully help you to get a little bit better organized. I always do encourage people also to get input from others in their household, unless you have a 2 and 6-year-old like myself who always would answer that with pasta. But do take into account, lots of different variety, things that you can maybe incorporate throughout those 2 weeks. Some items may be using more of those perishable items, so you'd want to put those closer to the beginning or closer to when you would do that shopping. And then those things that maybe use more shelf-stable items or frozen or canned produce type items, maybe put those at the latter part of that time frame. Obviously, we want to take inventory or take stock of what we already have. So make sure that you have a list of items that you already have available and keep that first in, first out rule of thumb in mind. Make that grocery shopping list. So healthy meals and snacks begin with what comes in your cart or what you put in your cart. So thinking through this too is to include ideas for substitutions in case an item may not be available. And this also, in any case, but especially right now, is going to help you by having that grocery shopping list to reduce additional trips for things that you may have forgotten or things that you couldn't really think of in the spur of the moment if you went in and you were just kind of meandering around and trying to figure out what meals to pop together for the week. Lastly, wash and cut up vegetables right after you come home. That can really cut down on time for later use during the week. But it's also just something that also allows us to use those things first. So instead of tossing them down in what I refer to as the crisper drawer of death, they now all of a sudden are front and center in our refrigerator or on our counters so that we can use those up a little bit better. Start your prep overnight or in the morning. So overnight, that would be to defrost proteins. Maybe you're planning to let your slow cooker do the work for you during the day so you don't have to really have a whole lot of hands-on time within that meal prep. Or maybe you want to pop those things in the refrigerator at the beginning of your day so they're ready to cook in the evening. So those are some simple steps that can really allow you to, once you get those groceries or have those groceries on hand, really make for quick use of them or a little bit easier, less hands-on time. And then obviously plan for those leftover nights. So again, kind of that first in, first out rule of thumb. As I talked about in my food safety video, things need to be eaten within 4 days, or if they're able to be frozen, that's also another option. So either plan for leftovers or plan to freeze those. And then the next couple of pages, which I realize are a little bit small to see on the video, these are what are going to be linked in with the email. So they were attached, so you can print them out and use these resources to help you map out what those meals are going to look like. So this one is a little bit more involved or a little bit more extensive, and this is a little bit more simplistic version of that. So this is one that I really love. Prior to all of this, we would really just map out our supper or evening meals so that we could then use, those items up, but also would use leftovers for lunches and things like that. But within my grocery list, then I did also account for other items, lunch meats or breakfast items, that type of item. So this really allows you to get organized, go in and make efficient use of your time at the grocery store. If you think that these could be helpful, but you're saying to yourself, I'm kind of in that mealtime rut, I'm bored with the recipes that I have, one of my favorite websites to refer people to is eatingwell.com. So eatingwell.com. And one of the things that I love beyond the amount of recipes that they offer is that you can really clarify what you're looking for. So if you're looking for a breakfast recipe or a certain item, certain ingredient, you can kind of hone in on that a little bit further. But it also includes the nutrition information, which is very helpful too if you're trying to figure out how that balances into your day. And then I want to also encourage people to keep it simple. I think sometimes we have the thought process that, it's going to take hours in the kitchen to make a really healthy and tasty meal, but meals do not have to be elaborate. So, really using this My Plate model as your framework to help provide balanced meals can guide that. And again, think about how you can do it in a quick and easy way. So one example of this is if you do go to the grocery store, maybe you decide, I don't really want to cook a whole lot tonight. So you grab a rotisserie chicken, maybe a couple sweet potatoes, and some broccoli, and then a side of fruit. So you take the skin off of the rotisserie chicken, you steam your sweet potatoes, steam some broccoli. Your sweet potato would be in place of grains because it's maybe more considered a starchier or vegetable. But then also, pair that with a fruit for dessert, and you have a meal in less than 15 minutes. Bonus, if you have leftover chicken, you can easily use that for a wrap or in soups, in a casserole or on salad. So again, you're stretching that food budget and making those things go a little bit further as well too. Also keep in mind, if you're cutting up vegetables, you want to make sure that you're going to get to use them in an appropriate time frame. Roasting vegetables can be a great way to, if there's certain things that they're kind of meeting that end date, you can still roast them and have a really flavorful side dish in that. But if cutting up vegetables or prepping produce seems like it's going to take too much time for you, maybe you opt for frozen or canned items. Those will offer the added bonus of being a little bit more shelf stable, so give you a longer time frame to utilize those within, but they're also just as nutritious. So another great option. You can also think about buying the pre-cut fruits and vegetables too. And then outside of meals, try to also consider what those snacks are going to look like and how that can help balance out what you might not otherwise be able to fit in with you in your meals. So fruit is generally a pretty grab and go type thing. Maybe pair it with some protein, so a little bit of cheese or some nuts or seeds, yogurt, and that gives you a better level of satiety or feeling of fullness. So it'll keep you feeling fuller longer. So in closing, I just want you to keep these key messages in mind to help create a successful meal plan and minimize those trips to the grocery store at this time. Plan ahead, keep it simple, include a variety of healthful foods, really provides that balance of nutrients that our body is requesting from us and needing from us. Take inventory of what you have on hand. Be mindful of those portion sizes. That'll help make that food go a little bit further, stretch that food budget. And then keep in mind those proper food safety practices. As a reminder, and as always, every time you eat is an opportunity to nourish your body, so take advantage of that. If you have further questions, feel free to reach out to me via email. Be on the lookout for another video coming your way on Thursday with ideas on how to get creative and repurpose leftovers. Until then, stay safe, be well, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks, everyone.